Welcome to Boss Breakdown, where I cover some of my favorite and least favorite boss battles. In this episode, we'll be covering one of my favorite bosses from the Metroid Prime trilogy, Dark Samus. As just like last time, I'll be analyzing the design of the boss, but due to the nature of Dark Samus being a reoccurring boss, her design changes in some encounters. Her first two encounters, her appearance stays relatively the same, so I won't be discussing her appearance in those two first encounters, but I will bring up her design aspect on her final two encounters, which is the final boss of this game and the final boss of Metroid Prime 3, or semi-final boss, considering that the Aurora unit is actually the real final boss. But anyways, in Dark Samus' first appearance in Metroid Prime 2 is very reminiscent of the Phazon suit that Samus sports at the end of Metroid Prime, which makes sense considering she was born from that suit. But it's interesting to note that at the very end of Metroid Prime 1 with a 100% ending, Dark Samus' suit has red lines to it rather than the blue that she sports in this game. Somewhere around between these two games, I assume that her suit changed because of being around Phazon and she absorbs nothing but Phazon, so it kind of makes sense. The suit also kind of has the same style of look to it as the Ing in this game, even though they're completely unrelated to each other, as Dark Samus is born from the light realm and the Ing are born from the dark realm. But even that, Dark Samus can still walk around in dark ether without being hurt by its atmosphere due to her being made of mostly Phazon. Dark Samus' first boss encounter, her attacks include Shrapnel Launcher, missiles, Phazon Wall, which she uses to deflect your missiles or injure you when you get too close to her, and when her health hits around 50%, she'll begin to fly in the air and do one of two things: dive at you, or shoot a super missile, both of which have the capacity to destroy the pillars around you. While Dark Samus is in her charging up state, she cannot be damaged. You must let her complete her super missile or diving attack before she becomes vulnerable again. Aside from these attacks that I just listed, Dark Samus also demonstrates great agility and speed when fighting. She will often dodge your attacks or evade your lock-on, so always have an eye on her as much as you can to avoid her attacks. When you encounter Dark Samus again at the Sanctuary Fortress, unlike the last fight, there's more room to move around, and hitting Dark Samus is somewhat easier. Dark Samus retains most of her attacks from before, along with 3 new attacks. Dark Samus also uses 2 variations of a charge beam, either a thin blue beam that she sweeps across, or an energy blast that will encase Samus in Phazon. She also has a faster version of the Boost Ball, charging around the arena at blinding speeds similar to the Boost Guardian from earlier. Using a charged light beam on her will instantly stop her attack though. Dark Samus is highly vulnerable to the Dark Beam because she is a being of light and not from the Dark World, as stated earlier. Super Missiles and Dark Bursts can deal heavy damage to Dark Samus, though Dark Bursts are not advised as it is too slow to actually hit her. Once Dark Samus hits around 50%, she will start utilizing her Stealth Field Generator, rendering her invisible to your normal visor. You must then switch to the Dark Visor to be able to see her. Dark Samus will also fire missiles while cloaked and airborne. Once she stops, she'll be vulnerable just like before. She will also use her Dive Bomb and boost attacks. This boss fight isn't particularly too difficult once you get past her more annoying phases, such as the Boost Ball and the Dark Visor phase. As long as you keep hitting her with the Dark Beam, her health should eat away pretty quickly and the battle should be over before you know it. At the very end of the game, Dark Samus serves as the final boss, now supercharged with Phazon to the point of where she's now transparent, resembling a more humanoid version of Metroid Prime from the first game. This battle takes place on the Sky Temple Gateway on Dark Aether right before you're about to leave. This battle proves to be the most challenging due to the fact that Phazon lines the walls around the arena, damaging Samus if she touches them. Adding to the difficulty is the countdown timer, which Samus must defeat her doppelganger in under 8 minutes or she will result in Dark Aether destabilizing around her, resulting in a game over. Dark Samus attacks by firing a large beam of Phazon energy. While she is still vulnerable to super missiles, she's more vulnerable to the Annihilator beam, so using the Sonic Boom attack, which is an instant hit, is very recommended. However, her exposure to Phazon now renders her invisible to the Dark Visor, requiring the use of the Echo Visor to be able to track her movements. After inflicting enough damage, Dark Samus will begin to surround herself in a large field of Phazon and transform into Dark Samus 4. Scanning her in this form is recommended as it now counts as a separate entity. The shield is invulnerable to all forms of attack save for one, a blast of pure Phazon, reminiscent of the battle between Metroid Prime Core and Metroid Prime, which the only way to damage Metroid Prime Core was by hitting it with the Phazon beam. You must capture the Phazon that Dark Samus emits and gather it up in your charge beam and fire it back. Repeat this strategy and the battle will be yours. Killing Dark Samus once and for all. Or so we think. When Dark Samus eventually does reappear, It's not the same Dark Samus that we meet on Aether. Her appearance seems to have changed, becoming more sleeker and more in control compared to the more chaotic look that her old suit had. She is no longer transparent, as well as becoming more bright blue opposed to her dark black appearance from Echoes. Her appearance seems to be not the only thing that changed. Her personality seems to undergo a great change between Echoes and Corruption. In Echoes, she's portrayed as unstable and unpredictable, shown by her manic laughter and chaotic nature, appearing randomly and seeking nothing but Phazon. In Corruption, she's significantly calmer and is shown to be quite cunning, capable of long-range planning, and remains calm even when her plans don't seem to be going as she wants. Dark Samus also has more of a presence in this game. Interestingly though, she does not battle you until the very end of the game, but she does appear throughout in cutscenes, antagonizing you. This final battle with Dark Samus can be challenging, as exposure to Phase's atmosphere as well as damage from anything will cause your Phazon levels to increase. If the Phazon levels reach 100%, Samus will die. If you collected large amounts of energy tanks prior to this final confrontation, the threat of corruption is not as prominent. In the first part of the battle, Dark Samus hovers around using her trademark shrapnel beam, firing homing blasts of Phazon-based ground wave, and creating large phase pillars to slow Samus down. This last attack though can be predicted, as she will raise her left hand in the air and fire a beam of Phazon into the air. The pillars can be destroyed by the Hyper Missile and often yield anti-Phazon units, which will lower your chances of corrupting during the battle. Once Dark Samus loses around 25% of her health, she will begin to use Phase's energy to heal herself. You must shoot her down before she finishes. Dark Samus will sometimes raise a Phazon shield to deflect your attacks, just like her other incarnations. Later on, Dark Samus will begin to summon Dark Echoes to confuse you while healing. You can distinguish the real Dark Samus by using the X-ray visor. Dark Samus will be colored red while the Echoes will be transparent. Once she sustains more damage, Dark Samus will begin to use her Echoes to attack you. The Echoes possess all of Dark Samus's attacks. The number of Echoes summoned increase as the battle goes on, from 2 to 3. Dark Samus and her Echoes can attack in unison, floating in the air and shooting plasma blasts at Samus, as well as using a plasma spin attack. You can avoid this by using the Morph Ball, as it is impossible to jump over this beam. Using the Hyper Ball to kill one of the Echoes is an effective way to get rid of them. The Echoes will also spin around the arena, attempting to hit you. They will also try to blitz you at full speed. The Echoes should also be destroyed immediately, or they will merge with Dark Samus, granting her a temporary invincibility. This also overloads your X-ray visor, making it impossible to use it. The key to beating Dark Samus is to keep her from healing, so you must destroy her Dark Echoes as quickly as possible. You must also do enough damage to Dark Samus to end the fight as fast as possible as well, because you're constantly fighting the clock as your corruption meter raises naturally, as well as when you take damage from Dark Samus. Once you defeat Dark Samus though, she will then merge with the Aurora unit. This is where the true final boss appears. But since this is a video about Dark Samus, I won't be covering this boss, as this video is running a little long as it is. In the end, Dark Samus is one of my favorite bosses from not only the Metroid Prime trilogy, but in gaming in general. She doesn't speak a word, yet she still has personality in her actions. You understand her motives from Metroid Prime 2 to Metroid Prime 3. Metroid Prime 1, she's just simply trying to get Phazon, nothing more. She just craves it. In Metroid Prime 3, she's gotten smarter and now has bigger goals, trying to spread Phazon to the whole universe. She also has a personal beef with Samus, as Samus destroyed her original body in Metroid Prime 1. But when you finally kill Dark Samus in the end, she dies just like she was born, raising her hand at a Phazon before dissipating for one last time and destroying the Phazon in Samus's body as well. But is that truly it for Dark Samus? Well, in the game's secret ending, 100%, when Samus leaves, there's some ominous ship with a color scheme that's reminiscent of Dark Samus. Now, whether if this is Dark Samus or just some other bounty hunter, we might not know. Considering that Dark Samus appears in the other two secret endings, one can hope that Dark Samus might be still out there. If there's ever a fourth Metroid Prime game, we might find out. But until then, it's nothing more than a after credits scene. One can hope.